What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Second Avenue Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Ladares.
I'm your other host, Elijah Venencia. It's March Madness. Let's just kick it off with that. I mean, I feel like there's no better starter for that. We are in our rec basketball playoff. With the playoffs now, I mean, win and go home. And then also, college March Madness, which is Illinois has already lost by this point. So that's very upsetting for me. But we are in a bracket challenge together as a family. So there's some huge basketball implications today, even. What are your expectations for a rec basketball game today?
Man, I mean, obviously, we're playing a team that we know and love, but it's war when we're on that court for those 40 minutes. They're not friends out there. You saw that Redeem Team documentary. You saw Kobe run through Pau Gasol, set the tone. I'm
And
not
we've
saying that
already,
that's going to happen, but we're not friends for 40 minutes.
yeah, we've already had that moment as well. I hang out with these guys like every weekend almost, and I was the first player like 2 minutes into the game to get a technical, so got pretty much ejected from the game because you're not allowed to go back in. So, I mean, I feel like I've set that tone already. Will I do it again? TBD. So,
I'm hoping it's a good game. Our season hasn't been the greatest. We started off better than last year. Things have taken a turn for the worse, and it hasn't been the best season. But I'm just ready to go out there and play today. Whatever happens, happens. Then, on to the next one. But let's talk about March Madness, college basketball for a little bit. Like you said, we're in a bracket pool with our family. We both have Alabama winning. Any other big picks here? What are you expecting for the rest of the NCAA tournament this year?
I mean, I feel like there's no tell to it. I had Duke lose yesterday. That was one of my bigger teams. Kansas as well. That was one of my final four teams. But all in all, I think this year it comes down to Alabama.
I got Alabama versus UCLA. I don't know why I'm just a rider for UCLA ever since I saw them play in the Elite Eight. They beat Michigan in Indianapolis in 2021. I was like, okay, I'm with UCLA. And they have, a few of the big pieces from that year with Jaime Jaquez and Tiger Campbell coming back. So I'm just high on them for whatever reason. Because I'd be like, oh, I
Yeah,
saw them play, So
and
hoping
it's
UCLA does pretty good. Other than that, I don't know why I was a Purdue believer. I also just have not watched college basketball, so my picks kind of are meaningless.
mhm.
Like I feel like anybody is though. You could watch every game and be just as clueless as I am. So it's kind of whatever. But yeah, big on UCLA and big on Alabama.
Yeah, there's definitely no tell to it. Of course, you're better off just guessing each matchup, and you probably end up with a better bracket than someone like me who's watched it all year. And yeah, I mean, there's no logic to it whatsoever. So,
Mm-hmm.
but with that being said, let's get into our songs of the week. Let's get off basketball here.
I'll kick us off here with the first one. To Pimp a Butterfly just celebrated its what is it, eighth anniversary? Came out in 2015, and I had to give a shout out to a special song from there. I was Mortal Man. I listened to the album in full on its anniversary, and it's just such a great outro. It's a long outro. Like some people could maybe say it's a little bit boring because it's just drawn out, but so good, and it just completes the album and just shows why it's one of the best albums of
Um,
our generation.
Definitely, and I love like a long extended outro. Maybe it's not necessary, like the Runaway outro, for example. Maybe not necessary. Mirrors by Justin Timberlake. That's another very long outro, but like they're maybe not necessary to the casual listener or something, but it's just something that I appreciate so much,
Mm-hmm.
even though there's no words being said anymore or anything. But with that being said, my first track here, I have New Shoes by Brockhampton. I feel like I've barely listened to the family since it has came out. I don't know. Matt Champion really snapped in this song though. I love the Osaka bar. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean that's not much to be said here.
Yeah, it's a good track. I'm with you that I just have not really listened to Brockhampton too much. I feel like I did a really good deep dive on Brockhampton before the last
Mhm.
projects came out, and I just kind of wore myself out of Brockhampton. Like I just did too much right there, and then I was like, I'm good on that for a
Yeah,
minute. But I'm sure they'll have a resurgence here coming up. I feel like they make a lot of summery music, so as it starts
yeah,
to get nice out, I feel like I'll be
like
bumping them a
last
little bit more.
yeah, like last year they dominated my listening. I think they were top three even. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean the preparation was definitely way better than what actually came. So
My next song of the week is The Ride by Drake. I've been listening to this song so much. I feel like this is a great driving song, especially a driving at night song. And I feel like every time I'm in the car at night, I've been just playing it. And it's been just a great song. It's another long song. You got the weekend vocals in there a little bit. Oh, it's just a
mhm.
storytelling about Drake's life at that point, all the stuff he's going through. Such a great track.
Yeah, storytelling Drake's top tier. I mean,
Hmm.
just it's just one of those phenomenal tracks. It like kind of reminds me of like Weston Road Flows, where Drake is just fucking nonstop the whole song. It may
Hmm.
not sound like do rap like he's dropping bars or anything, but it's just elite storytelling. So
Hmm.
um with that, with my next track here, a Drake track as well, off the new project with him and 21 Savage. I have Circo Loco. This is I just keep calling you Crody, and that's all I wanted to say is Crody, turn me up, you know.
Cardi Turn Me. It's such a great track. Have you seen the Kanye AI on TikTok?
No, I haven't seen the Kanye. I see like the Biden, Obama, and
Okay.
Trump one.
There's somebody and they have an AI of Kanye and they've been just putting his vocals on all these songs. Like there's like a
Uh,
Nights, Frank Ocean, Kanye. There's definitely a Circo Loco. There's just all these songs, and it's just crazy how like real it sounds. It
mhm.
really sounds like it could be Kanye. So I'll send you one, but you gotta
All
check it
right,
out.
yeah.
My last song of the week is "Do You Like Me" by Daniel Caesar. Been bumping this one a lot recently. I listened to it in the car the other day. Just was really hitting, and I'm very excited for the Daniel Caesar project coming up. So had to give it a shout out today.
Definitely great track there. With my last track here, I have "Hello" by J. Cole off a 2014 Forest Hills Drive. I feel like this is kind of one that falls under the radar, and this is like a Cole we don't get anymore. Is like past For Your Eyes Only, we don't really get kind of like this lover boy, J. Cole. So I just want to show some appreciation. It randomly came on. And I was like, okay, I kind of forgot about this.
That's valid. Yeah, it's a good track. Not one I go back to too much, but I definitely had a big phase where I was bumping that track a lot. Like
Mhm.
when I was in high school, I definitely remember listening to that track, but I'm gonna have to give it a re-listen. It's been a long time.
Yeah, definitely good
I
headphone music there.
For sure. Let's get into today's topic though. Like we've been talking about all March and this episode already. It's March. It's March Madness. That means brackets. This is our third bracket of March. We're doing some music, some non-music. We're a music podcast predominantly, but we gotta show some love to our other interests here. And I think a thing that the podcast was really built around was like our adolescence growing up together. And I feel like a lot of those memories are tied to TV shows, tied to music, tied to movies. So we had to go with a childhood TV shows bracket. It was going to be kind of tough, and it was going to be a crazy long episode if we would have done, 64 and done all the different channels and all that. So we're starting off today with just Nickelodeon. Half the bracket's going to be live action, half the bracket's going to be cartoons, and then the best cartoon and the best live action are going to face off in the championship. It's going to be a banger. I'm definitely excited to get into this. First, I want to ask you though. I've seen a lot of talk about this on social media, especially like as we get older and as the kids that watch these shows get older and kind of develop personalities. Were you a Cartoon Network kid, a Disney Channel kid, or a Nickelodeon kid if you had to pick one?
I feel like because all the channels were together, it was like 61, 63, 64. Back in the day, we didn't have all these 200 channels or anything like that. We had maybe 60 channels in total. So I'd say primarily Nickelodeon, but then I would switch to Disney during like the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody or Sweet Life on Deck, more in my era there. And then I'd switch to Cartoon Network for some shows. I'm trying to think of which ones off the top of my head. Chowder, I love Chowder. I think that was Cartoon
Oh,
Network. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I mean, I tuned into Cartoon Network, and then even later into my childhood, probably around the age 10 or 11, they brought in Disney XD. So that
mm,
was another one. Johnny Test, that was another Cartoon Network one. Was that Cartoon Network?
I think so.
Yeah,
I
I really like
it
Johnny
might it was
Test.
either Disney XD or Cartoon Network. I can't remember,
Yeah,
but yeah,
but
that's a
yeah, I mean,
classic.
I kind of rotated through them all, but if I primarily rocked with Nickelodeon.
Okay, I'm there with you that I was rotating. I think if I had to pick one, I'd probably be Disney Channel though. I feel like I definitely leaned into the Hannah Montana, Zach and Cody days. But there's so many on this Nick bracket that brought me back that I was like, oh yeah, I was definitely rocking with those. So I feel like it's hard to pick one specifically if you weren't like crazy into all
Yeah,
of them. But I feel like Disney Channel just had such an advantage with the movies as well. Like there's High School Musical, there's Camp Rock, all these movies that really take it over the edge. But some of the
I feel
best
like
shows on Nickelodeon. So I'm definitely ready to get into this bracket.
yeah. I feel like if you're really watching TV like us, if you were really digesting what was coming to you, if you were really
Uh-huh.
watching, you would rotate. You had a rotation,
You
so
would.
you could
Yeah,
you couldn't
you
just pick
couldn't
one.
miss. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're not
I
watching a
mean,
rerun of
I mean
Big
that's
Time
that's
Rush
just
for yeah.
yeah, that's just the cat. I mean, if you're casual, whatever, I get it, but we
Yeah.
really did that.
We really did that. Let's get in the bracket though. Let's just run through the shows that are going to be on the bracket. Starting with the live action side, we got iCarly, Victorious, Zoe 101, Big Time Rush, Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, The Amanda Show, Sam and Cat, and Drake and Josh. Then on the cartoon side, we got SpongeBob SquarePants, Rocket Power, Danny Phantom, Max and Ruby, Rugrats, Jimmy Neutron, Fairly Odd Parents, and Hey Arnold. A lot of good shows here. Want to give a special shout out to Avatar. Avatar almost felt like a cheat code. Like, that's a show that I feel like a lot of adults even watch and enjoy more than some of these. There's definitely adults that enjoy these shows, but I feel like Avatar is like an exception. So shout out to Avatar. Love that show. But
I wasn't rocking with that shit.
I had a sick feeling you weren't going to rock with that show. That's another reason. It was going to be disrespected on this podcast, and I will not settle for that.
And I will just, I'll continue to disrespect. I wasn't rocking with that lame ass show for real. I'm gonna air out my feelings on these shows.
I'm excited to see what lame ass shows you're gonna talk about, because these are all pretty solid in my opinion. But I think this is another episode where the age gap between us is gonna be just so evident, because, for example, like the Amanda Show, that was like just barely into my era, and it was definitely too early for you. So we'll see. But yeah, it had to have a little mention here. It was a classic. So yeah, this is a tough one. I feel like with TV shows, I ran these past a couple people, be like, what am I missing? And originally we had like the Naked Brothers Band. That was one that I was rocking with heavy, but I feel like the general population wasn't. I had their CD and all that, you know, I was in that for real, but I replaced it with the Amanda Show because that was one that needed some love.
I had to come to two Cartoon Network shows come to mind. I was really rocking with Regular Show and The Amazing World of Gumball. So I mean, I had to throw those in there because those were like classics for me. So
okay, we'll definitely have to do the Cartoon Network bracket at some time, but that's another great example of shows that are just past my time. Like, I don't think I ever watched an episode of either of those, but I had mine that I was rocking with heavy with like
that would be past your
Codename Kids Next Door, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Like, I was rocking with those heavy.
Yeah,
so
I like both Ed, Edd and Eddy. You know, that's another one there.
Classics.
We got to do this Cartoon Network one because I feel like they really have like just a ton of classics.
I agree, and I feel like the Cartoon Network shows are like cult classics. Like, they have heavy followings, like even to this day. But yeah, let's get into this Nickelodeon one first. It's gonna be a good one. First matchup, we got iCarly versus Victorious. This is like an easy one for me. I think it's iCarly.
This is pretty easy for iCarly, but like a memory of Victorious, I like vividly remember like the premiere for that. Like, let me see when that show premiered. I remember watching that. It was like a nighttime premiere. So yeah, I mean, I just needed to throw that in there, but let me see when that show premiered. 2010. So I'd have been 9 years old. I was in third grade, I want to say. Like, that is something I vividly remember. I don't know why. I remember that whole night for some reason. It was just me chilling at home too. But yeah, core memory there.
Shout out to Victorious. Yeah, definitely a solid show, but iCarly, too many classic episodes. It was always coming right with the special guest appearances of celebrities. It was fire. So, I mean, we'll talk about it more next round when it gets to a little bit more of a tough matchup. But yeah, shout out to Victorious. Solid show. Next matchup here, we got Zoe 101 versus Big Time Rush. You know, had to have Big Time Rush on here for producer Devin. He's a writer for BTR. And, you know, they're definitely a music TV show. So it goes in with the podcast. So had to have them here. But with that being said, it's got to be Zoe 101 in my book. That's one of my favorites, I'll say.
I got Big Time Rush here. I really wasn't rocking with Zoe 101 like that. I was too young.
That's the thing. That's where it's going to come in. Zoe 101, you know, it had that love dynamic between Zoe and Chase. It had Kyle Massey. Is that Kyle Massey or Chris Massey? Whichever one. The one was Corey in the house and then his brother, and he was just killing it on that show. You had Dustin, the little brother. You had Lola. You had, Quinn. She was crazy. And then her and Logan linked up. It was wild. It was a good show. So many classic episodes. In my book, I don't know, but like you said, I mean, I think it's one.
I feel like that shit wasn't even airing I feel like that shit wasn't even airing in 2010. Whenever I was vividly remembering these shows premiere,
I got a classic memory about Zoe 101. Actually, I mean, like you said, it didn't have the longest run, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Jamie Lynn Spears, who played Zoe, got pregnant, and you know, this is going to go back to the second house to the core. Our grandma used to get Star magazine just every week, and I would be flipping through that. I was up to date on all the celebrity gossip. Like, it'd be going crazy. And one thing I knew about was that Jamie Lynn Spears was, supposedly pregnant. And I remember going to my friend Nathan's house, and this is when we were like 10 or younger probably, and we were swimming, and so his mom was out there watching us to make sure we didn't drown. And we're just in the pool and we're talking about Zoe one-on-one. I'm like, oh yeah, I saw Jamie Lynn Spears is pregnant, and his mom was like, ah. Like made me switch the topic because that was like something you probably weren't supposed to be talking about when you were like 10. But yeah, so like you said, didn't have the longest run, so
Yeah,
I
those
get
Star
your opinion
magazines
here,
are
but
classics.
it was right for me.
You just opened up a core memory with those Star magazines. I used to just be like, yeah, like you said, just fucking in on all the celebrity gossip. I'm okay with Zoe 101 up, but I'm just gotta let you know I didn't vibe with it like that. So
Okay, I gotta see it move on here.
BTR,
Yeah,
that's the
we
number
could
one.
talk.
That's another one I remember premiering. That was a great show there. So
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch BTR as much. I caught episodes here
yeah,
and there. I
you were
thought it
like
was solid.
you're like a senior in high school when it came out.
Exactly. That's what I'm
I hope
saying.
you weren't fucking kicking it on the couch watching Nickelodeon.
I know. I was watching Workaholics at that point. I didn't have Disney Channel on anymore, Nickelodeon on anymore. Let's move on to the next matchup. We got Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide versus The Amanda Show. This is a tough one. I know you're not going to rock with The Amanda Show because it's way before your time. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, and Ned's is like that'd be like one where like nothing else is on, so I'll tune in. So I really got no attachment here. Like you really putting on these fucking 90s shows in here, and I was born in 2001.
I don't know. The Amanda Show was definitely still on. I feel like it was on at night into our, younger years. But
Yeah, with like
I'm going
George
Ned's
Lopez and
Declassified here.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I showed my sister Lauren the bracket, and she was like, "Are you gonna have like Nick at Night shows? Like, you had Full House, you had George Lopez, and those are cheat codes because those are
Yeah.
some of the best shows that were on that channel. They were more like adult based shows. But yeah, I think we got to go Ned's here. I mean, I'll just say that Carmelo Anthony never made an appearance on the Amanda Show, and for that reason, it's got to be Ned's Classified.
Mhm. Yeah, that's was a classic. I didn't really. It was like another one that was kind of out of my era there. Like I'd watch it sometimes with you guys, I remember, but with you and Lauren. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I wasn't really vibing with it.
That's crazy. Let's move on to the next matchup. This is another one where the age gap might be interesting. Sam and Cat, a show that I never really watched, but I feel like was probably more in your time, especially with the Victorious years, the post iCarly years. And it's going to go off against Drake and Josh, which it's easily Drake and Josh here. I don't know how you're
Oh,
feeling.
for sure. Yeah, easily. And like weirdly, like these shows are in the same universe. Or no, I guess they wouldn't because Carly's technically not. What's the fucking name of Drake and Josh's
Megan.
little sister? Megan. There we go.
Well, there's a
Technically
conspiracy
not.
theory
Yeah,
that she is,
conspiracy.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I was around for Sam and Cat those years, but that shit was hot ass. I mean, I just had to let you know.
Okay, I'm glad because I thought so
That
too.
felt like a
It
money
was
grab.
definitely like past my time, but like if I caught an episode like at Ma's house or whatever, I was like, this show is trash. Like, especially
Yeah.
after seeing the shows that they came from, Victorious and iCarly, you were like, okay, like those are good shows. Maybe there's potential. There wasn't.
I mean, and I love Ariana Grande and everything, but her cat character in Victorious is annoying as fuck. So I don't know
Oh,
why she got it.
she
I don't know why
definitely
she got
was.
her fucking own show. So
Yeah,
and
no,
then
that
I
character
mean,
was ass.
like Sam was okay and iCarly. Like, she played her role, but she didn't need her own spinoff.
No, she definitely did not. She was solid. She held it down for Carly, but she's always gonna be a Pippin. She's no Jordan.
Yeah, I mean for sure. She's a Kobe. She's not a Shaq.
Mm. And Cat's just like a Draymond Green. Like Cat's just out there. She's
Yeah,
only good because
like
of Victoria Justice.
yep, facts. I
Tough.
mean, I'll make a spinoff about like Andre or something. I loved Andre.
Exactly. He
That was
held
a
it down
fire
and
character. Yeah.
he held it down and now he's had a good music career. So shout out to him. But yeah, that show's trash. Let's move on to the right side, the cartoon side of the bracket. First round, we got SpongeBob SquarePants versus Rocket Power.
I'm definitely SpongeBob here. SpongeBob's like my favorite ever, so I'll just start that off.
SpongeBob is elite. I think today when I was like going through this bracket and getting some opinions, I realized that it might have few more haters than I thought it did.
You are out of pocket to hate on SpongeBob. Like that shit's just weird to me.
It is. I feel like There's so many episodes that people still reference to this day. It's still going strong, I think, with new episodes. I obviously haven't seen a new
Yeah,
episode in a long time, but I think it is still hanging in there. And so that legacy is just crazy. But I feel like there's like a joke or a running joke or whatever that if you weren't a SpongeBob kid in real life, like that says a lot about you.
yeah.
And it says a lot about
You
your
were a
humor and
lame
stuff.
ass
And
motherfucker for real.
for real, I don't know. People are showing their true colors if they don't like SpongeBob, and that's just tough to see sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, with that, like SpongeBob's kind of like popping up on my For You page, like, and I'm not mad at it. Like with like the South Park or Family Guy clips, like I'm
Hmm.
not mad. I'm liking it. I'm hoping more come. So
Oh, it's definitely going to be on mine now too, just because you said that. But stay tuned on that. I got a core memory of watching SpongeBob in college, like my friends, because we were talking about the episode with Bubble Bass or whatever his name is, and he's like,
oh
"Still
fuck that
no
dude.
pickles." Yeah, the guys
Yeah,
are
that's a
bummed,
op.
but the "still no pickles" line was just. We were talking about
That,
that for so long.
what
It was just
what's your
great.
favorite episode of SpongeBob?
I don't know. That's a tough one because there's so many, and some of them like kind of blend together in my head, but they are like so iconic on their own. I
Uh,
feel like I'd have to go. The one that's coming to my mind immediately is Pretty Patties. I don't know
oh,
why.
I fucking love Pretty Patties. That's literally like that is my favorite hands down is Pretty Patties. So
Okay, or the pizza delivery one, of
yeah,
course. Those are
that's a
those
good
are
one
two
too.
classics. I'm gonna go with one of those two.
Pretty Patties 100% for me.
I'm glad I did because I didn't know how you feel about that one. It is a classic, so I would have stood on it being my favorite.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that it's up there
That's
for you
been like
too.
my favorite since like forever. Like that's like one of the first ones I ever remember watching, like loving. So I
Hmm.
don't know why, but I was just vibing with it for sure.
So fire. Let's move on to the next matchup here. We got Danny Phantom versus Max and Ruby. I mean, Max and Ruby made a resurgence, I feel like recently. I feel like it's had some impact on meme culture. Max is just a killer. And,
He's
you
a
know,
menace.
I know. And the sound that was just going crazy with the 21 Savage quote where he's like, he really quiet for real, unless he know you type shit.
Yeah.
He funny as hell, though. There was one of that with Max, and that was the truest thing ever. I mean, he was really quiet for real, but he was also just a demon, and he was a great character. It's Max and Ruby here for me.
It is also Max and Ruby here for me. I never really vibed with Danny Phantom like that. And Max and Ruby is still one tall. The time I was about 14, 15, 16 years old, maybe, if my little siblings were watching it, I would plop down and watch Max and Ruby. Like I really like that was my favorite like little kid show. So
Oh yeah,
that or
that's a
Caillou.
classic morning show too. Like watching that on a Tuesday morning, you're sick, you're home from school, before or after Price is Right, you catch an episode of Max and Ruby. That was a
Yeah,
vibe.
definitely. Nah, that's like Caillou too. I gotta show Caillou some love.
Caillou, that's crazy. I forgot about him. Shout out to Caillou. Let's move on to the next matchup. We got Rugrats versus Jimmy Neutron.
I got Hemi Neutron here. I mean, Rugrats is a little before my time. I
I'm
really
a
just I
Rugrats
love it.
guy.
Yeah, I'm okay with Rugrats moving on because I know that's a classic for real. Like, but that shit was airing in like the 90s. Like
In
I was
'94.
born I was born in 2004 or 2001, not 2004. You're four there got me. 2001, like we really like I'm sorry if I'm disrespecting somebody's favorite show, but
I'm moving Rugrats on here. I'm pulling the veto. I had Rugrats on VHS to date myself. I loved Rugrats. It was one of my favorites, definitely when I was a kid. Definitely like in the early years before you got to more of these live action shows being like my favorites. But it's definitely up there with my favorite
I
cartoons. It's beatable, but it's got to win round one.
I remember those little boxes like the Nickelodeon joysticks that you plug into the TV
Oh yeah,
that you'd pull off the back and it just had the nastiest fucking batteries you've ever seen.
corroded. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's just a core memory at your house, just a big box of those.
disgusting. I think we had to throw them away because the batteries were so corroded
Yeah,
they were
just they're
unplayable.
fucking
But
eating through your fucking floor.
Bob was running. They had like I think there was a Danny Phantom game on that. There was definitely
SpongeBob.
a SpongeBob with like a car, and then there's definitely one that I remember
There
of a
was a
show that we're
ton
gonna
of
get
them.
into here.
Yeah.
Fairly Odd Parents. Last matchup of the first round, we got Fairly Odd Parents versus Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold, I'm gonna guess was definitely before your time, right?
Oh, for sure. But Fairly Odd Parents, this is like a show like I grew up with. Like they were making new episodes weekly, and I was tuning in every week. Like Poof, I remember Poof being born. You know that I was sitting right at Moss in that chair, and Poof may have been like like a little like out of your time. Like
He was on the
probably
line of my talk.
probably
I don't know what you're talking about.
probably as you're transitioning out. But poof, like this. You don't remember that little kid?
I don't know. It kind of sounds familiar, but I
I
definitely
think
wouldn't
that's the
remember the
name.
name. I wouldn't remember the name, so that's fire. Yeah, I mean, Fairly Odd Parents easily wins here for me. I was just watching one of the broadcast boys on TikTok, and they were talking about the Creator League with House of Highlights, and they're playing. Okay, I kind of remember Poof. If you watch on YouTube, he pulled up a picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Creator League they were playing. It's like this 2v2 basketball creators league. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but they have like Julian Newman playing in it, and one of them called him Juandissimo, and that was like the funniest thing ever because he got the little goatee, he got there, it was fire. So yeah, that recent reference was just great.
Juan Decimo he was an op though. I really wasn't fucking with him, so I
I'm
feel like
not
he
fucking
kind of
with
fit.
Julian Newman either.
Yeah,
So
I feel like that kind of
yeah,
fits the
it's a good
narrative there.
comp. All right, Fairly Odd Parents moves on here. Let's move on to the second round. We got iCarly versus Zoe one on one. This is easily iCarly. I know you're not going to be
Yeah,
rocking with Zoe one on one. We shouldn't even spend too much time.
yeah. Carly Shay, Miranda Cosgrove wasn't out here getting knocked up in the prime of her life, so
Yeah,
for that
she
reason alone, she's
would
got to
not
move on.
fumble a bag. Yeah, Miranda Cosgrove was not fumbling the bag. She ran it up. Got to be her. Let's move on to Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide versus Drake and Josh. I know you weren't rocking with Ned, so it's got to be Drake and Josh. And I
Oh,
think even
Drake.
if you were rocking with
Yeah,
Ned's, it was going to be Drake and Josh because
Drake and Josh clears.
that's an elite show. We'll talk about it next round, but it definitely belonged to the final four. We'll see about the championship. Elite Eight on the cartoon side, we got SpongeBob versus Max and Ruby. We gave Max and Ruby their
SpongeBob.
flowers in the first round, but it's got to be SpongeBob, right?
Yeah, I thought your old ass was gonna move on, Danny Phantom. So
No, I like Danny Phantom, but Max and Ruby was just too elite. And I feel like it had a little bit of longevity. Like it was really out here for a couple
oh
years.
yeah,
So had to be Max and Ruby that round. But SpongeBob clears. Last matchup of the Elite Eight, we got Rugrats versus Fairly Odd Parents.
I got Fairly Odd Parents pretty easily here. Like that's just another classic for me. That's why I was on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, I'm definitely cool with Fairly Odd Parents moving on. All I'll say, I love Rugrats, but Designer didn't make a song after
Yeah,
Tommy Pickles, so it's got to be Timmy Turner moving on here to the
mm-hmm.
championship, or
For
sorry,
sure.
to the final four. All right, let's get into the final four matchups. We got iCarly versus Drake and Josh.
I feel like what puts it over here for me is the Drake and Josh movie. Like I was really sitting here thinking about which to pick, and that just came up in my mind, and I think that's what puts it over.
I'm definitely going Drake and Josh here. That was just more my era, like my entire childhood. I feel like was
Yeah,
Drake and Josh, and then iCarly was like the later half. But I really liked iCarly as well. Gibby, phenomenal side character. Spencer, he was always on just demon time,
yeah.
always on some crazy stuff. He always got his boy. He got Sacco. He got all these guys. Yeah, the guy with the bagels on sticks. I don't remember his name, but there was just so many great like
Tebow.
side characters. Yeah, yes, there were just so many great side characters on iCarly. But I feel like on Drake and Josh, you had just as many with those nerdy kids, Craig and Eric, and
Amanda,
I can't even think of any others. But
was her name Amanda? The one that was a bitch to Josh?
I don't remember.
What's her name? The fucking, you know who I'm talking about. She's just a straight up. She's
Josh's
just a straight
girlfriend.
Up, yeah, she's just a straight up bitch the whole series.
Oh, Mindy.
Mindy, okay, I was close, kind of. Amanda, Mindy.
Yeah, that was fairly
Yeah.
close. Yeah, she was definitely like you couldn't tell whether she was an op or not, but she held it down and she was a good character. So
The movie theater too.
she
That's
played her
just a
role.
classic.
Yeah, it's Drake and Josh. Let's see who's gonna face off against Drake and Josh here in the final four. On the cartoon side, we got SpongeBob SquarePants versus Fairly Odd Parents. This is a tough one.
This is a finals type matchup. Like, I'm broken. I don't know who to pick here.
And I mean, it is the finals of the cartoons. We're talking about two of the best here for sure. I'm going with SpongeBob. The longevity that SpongeBob has had is just unmatched, especially for a cartoon. I think it just has more like iconic episodes, iconic moments, iconic quotes. Fairly Odd Parents was great. I loved it when it was on, but SpongeBob, I feel
I'm
like has
rocking
a
with Poof
longevity.
here.
Ooh, so you're going Fairly Odd?
I am. I'm alright with SpongeBob moving on, but I'm gonna give Fairly Odd Parents its flowers. I feel like the long term storytelling that we got, they had a kid, like there's some storytelling there, whereas SpongeBob is just a new episode every day, just changing. It's the South Park versus Family Guy argument. I'm rocking with Poof. I'm rocking with Fairly Odd Parents. You know I'm coming. Timmy Turner. Even Wish for the Burger. You know.
You know how many episodes of SpongeBob there are, like to this date?
My guess would be 1,200.
282.
Damn, that seems
Doesn't that
low.
just seem like so few?
Yeah, like I feel like they're making new episodes like all the time. You know.
They still do, but I think the thing is like there's just so many bangers in those 280 episodes that like it feels like there has to be more because there got to be a couple throwaways, but they're just not wasting time. And for that reason, I got to go with SpongeBob. I feel
Yeah,
like this is one where we should like call a third person in.
I'm okay with it moving on just for the SpongeBob movie as well. That's
Okay.
another one that puts it over.
Okay. So the movies are really carrying here.
That Jimmy Neutron and Timmy Turner collab. Oh fuck.
That was tough. That's tough.
Calling a third person here.
All right, let's call somebody.
So we're recording for something for the podcast here, and we're just trying to feel out the vibes on votes here. Are you rocking with SpongeBob or Fairly Odd Parents? That's a tough ass one, right?
Damn.
I feel like Poof really like put Fairly Odd Parents over for me.
You
like,
love this motherfucker Poof, bro.
SpongeBob, bro, Mr. Krabs. You just that moneymaker.
all right. And Timmy Turner wasn't that guy. Like designer ain't make a song off this dude.
Gas teeth. No.
All right.
Okay, so we're going with
Yeah, SpongeBob. I'm okay with SpongeBob winning. I wanted to see how much I could sway the vote there.
okay. Off the air, we got our second vote here. You just heard Mauricio with his vote. Shout out to our boy Mauricio for taking the call there. He went SpongeBob. We brought in a new demographic too. We asked our cousin JJ, who is 16. We asked him which one he was going with. He said it's a tough one, but he'd probably go SpongeBob. I think that goes with my argument about the longevity. So
we got condescending, or like the votes are he voted in our family group chat that he is Fairly Odd Parents. So I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if the kid can read. But
he's just a boy, all right.
I don't know what we're rocking with here more. So maybe he thought about Poof in the back of his head. So
yeah, since he said SpongeBob, Poof popped into his poofed into his head, and he said, I'm going with Fairly Odd Parents. Let's go SpongeBob though, just for the sake of having something. All right, SpongeBob moves on. I thought this is what the championship was going to be the whole time. SpongeBob versus Drake and Josh.
Mm-hmm. I'm rocking with Drake and Josh here. Nah, I'm rocking with SpongeBob. Actually, I just thought about it.
Oh, that was a quick switch up.
That's what
that was
like
a quick switch up.
But I'm like I do that waiter thing. I do that at the bars and shit. Like I really I do that maybe twice a month. So I mean, just for that alone.
I think it's so tough. I would go Drake and Josh here.
I think we leave this up to the fans then.
Okay, this is tough. It's really comparing apples and oranges. SpongeBob has way more longevity, and I think that could be a big thing. But I hate just leaving these brackets unfinished. But this one's tough to finish, and I don't know if we're gonna agree. I just think Drake and Josh. I mean, it's just elite. Like thinking back to some of the scenes, like
I'm ready.
I don't know,
hash slinging slasher, bro. I want the fans to decide. So you need to. I'm not trying to convince you here. I know I'm right. So
okay, I don't think you're wrong. That's the thing. Like I could see the argument for SpongeBob. It has a great argument. Its resume is crazy, but just Drake and Josh just hit me when I needed it. You know, think about some of his iconic quotes like, "That is not my job." Like that's a great line. I was just looking through. We'll give them a special shout out to my mom, shout out to my sister Lauren, both their birthdays today. I was looking through my Snap memories with Lauren to see what should I give her a post for her birthday, and there was one Snapchat that she had sent me, and it was her like sitting in the back of our car with sunglasses on and like a blanket wrapped around her, and she said she feels like that celebrity girl that like passed out or whatever during the movie premiere. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And they were like just moving around like she was alive or awake, and
I mean.
That was a great reference. And so that came top of my mind.
It's 2023 now. You know, are we really going to glorify a show with Drake Bell in it?
Valid point. SpongeBob wins.
That's all SpongeBob can win. SpongeBob ain't got any of this extra shit going on outside of his show. He is a straight through guy. He's like LeBron, you know?
SpongeBob can win. That was a great swing point there. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Drake Bell, trash human being currently. So I'm fine with going with SpongeBob.
Currently, for all his life, pretty much. I mean,
Yeah,
fuck.
probably. But it's like just coming up now. Like when I was 12, I didn't think he was a trash human being, is my point. Like
Yeah.
I thought he was a cool
Him.
guy. He was him
Yeah.
on the show. His
He's
Riz was
getting,
off the
he's,
charts,
yeah.
but now I'm like, okay, he had like pedophile Riz, he had sexual
Yeah.
assault Riz, whatever, whatever. Yeah, so it's SpongeBob. I'm happy with that. It deserves to win. What do you think of Nickelodeon shows you do think of SpongeBob? I think if you asked
Yeah.
100 people, SpongeBob would be in like the first three easily, no matter the person. Whereas I think Drake and Josh might not be for a lot of people. So, okay, I'm fine with that. SpongeBob, elite. And like when we do start thinking about all these episodes, the SpongeBob movie, it's elite. So I'm fine with that. I'm glad we came to an agreement though, because I didn't like leaving it undecided. We did that with the Travis Scott one last week. You guys kind of
I
settled
didn't.
it. We didn't do the direct poll on Instagram between Antidote and 90210, but Antidote got eliminated pretty early in the bracket, whereas 90210 is in the championship and it's winning versus Goosebumps.
Mhm.
So
I just want to
90210 wins
say.
last week as well. I'm just throwing that out there.
I just want to say before you finish this up, I didn't want to have to bring out that point. It was always sitting there in the back of my mind, but for the sake of ending this, I had to. So SpongeBob is the winner.
Yeah, you really pulled out some like chemical
Real life
warfare there,
shit. Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was needed.
Yeah.
It was needed, or
I
else
just
we were
threw
gonna go on for
mustard
we could
gas
go on
on
for an
the.
hour.
Yeah, I just threw mustard gas on the battlefield.
Yeah, that was great. I respect it.
I just dropped the nuke on Hiroshima.
You really did. I respect it. But shout out to SpongeBob. Let's get in the news. Let's start off with the releases. As always, we got projects from The Weeknd, ESTG, West Side Boogie, Lil Keed, RIP, Lil Pump, and DC the Don. Then we got singles from Russ, Black, Pierre Bourne, Lana Del Rey, Hit Boy and the Alchemist, Doechii and Kodak Black, Childish Gambino, Static Selecta, Bakar, Deontay Hitchcock, and more. Pretty solid week. This is definitely one of the better ones of the year so far.
Yeah, for sure, solid. The West Side Boogie was like a little live album or like a live EP. I'd say there's only a few tracks on there.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that and a little Keyed as well. RIP. So that's about what I gave a listen to this week. There's some solid singles in here though, scattered throughout. And then the weekend, what was that?
You dropped the
Creeping
Starboy
thing?
Deluxe. It was like
Okay.
it's really an excuse for a project. It's songs that have been out. He just put onto a deluxe version, so it's like all in one place. The new cover art is fire. I'll give him some love on that, but it really just I hate that. I hate that he's dropping the deluxe so many years later. Like,
Yeah.
and it's songs that have been out. Like, if you're gonna do a deluxe, just do a couple new songs at least. Like, I'm sure he's got some throwaways from that era. He could have just put out. Like, why not?
Yeah. So we'll put an asterisk by his name there.
Definitely an asterisk by that, but they're calling it a project. They're calling it a new release. So had to give it a mention,
yeah.
but definitely an asterisk. Yeah, solid week though. Childish Gambino come back. He had his new show coming out on Amazon Prime, so he had a song for that. So he's just a feature on it, but it was cool. So nice to have him back in the game. Hit Boy and Alchemist, also a great track. Just pretty solid week. Bakar also liked that track a lot. I think I saw something that's been out or it's been like a just not on streaming services song. So good track. I just hadn't heard it before. Solid week, and Black again with another good single. Excited for his album coming soon.
Definitely. That's one I'm definitely looking forward to. There's just not much to look forward to at this point in my life in music. So that's one of the lone shining stars, which pretty unexpected there. But
yeah, that was pretty depressing. More depressing news here. You're Rolling Loud boy through and through. We just got the news this week that Rolling Loud New York will not be happening, and it may be making a comeback sometime in the future, but they didn't put a date on it. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm not surprised just because how strict New York is with like with this times being cut and everything. And I mean, just this year alone, it was just a lot that was. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's on the artists that are showing up late. So, I mean, yeah, not much to be. So they're very disappointing. Can't make it a third year in a row in New York, but I'll always have just phenomenal memories there. So
Fire. Yeah. Definitely sounds like you have some great stories in there. I know you got the J. Cole in the Rain. That's like iconic.
Travis Scott, last Travis Scott concert, pretty much. So
A lot of good ones there. Tough it won't be happening again, but I mean, I'm sure you'll be making appearances some other Rolling Loud here.
yeah,
We'll see though.
potentially, yeah. There's some other stuff in the works, so we'll see what happens.
Okay, we'll see about that. Other news here, sticking with the live concert theme. Drake and 21 Savage, It's All a Blur tour tickets went on sale this week. The prices here were crazy.
Yeah, stupid expensive. Yeah, they're stupid expensive. There's not much to be said past that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would have liked to go. Cash App was a partner in the pre-sale tickets. If you use your Cash App card, there was like a pre-sale you could get access to. And in their tweet, they said tickets starting at $69. I didn't see those $69 tickets. I'll say that. And then even if I did, that doesn't include the Ticketmaster fees, which were crazy. I saw somebody post a screenshot and they got tickets, and I think the tickets were around $500 each, which $500 for a ticket is crazy as it is. But then you have to add the Ticketmaster fees, which were like $210. So those tickets were like over $700, which is crazy because you could just get a ticket to OVO Fest or Dreamville Fest and go fly and see Drake somewhere else. But that tour is just one of the craziest priced ones I've seen ever, truly.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of like the Taylor Swift like concert
and
tickets
Beyonce,
and everything.
both those have been going crazy.
So yeah, disappointing stuff, but what can you do?
Last news of the week, pretty slow week. Vinyl outsold CDs in the United States last year for the first time since 1987. I feel like we talked about some news similar to this at some point. Maybe it was just the highest vinyl sales since a specific year, but outselling CDs is pretty wild. I think it kind of makes sense. CDs have definitely not been too popular for a while now. I don't really know anybody that listens to CDs, whereas vinyl has definitely been making a big comeback. So fire to see.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, W there. Obviously, I've contributed to a little bit of that. So, I mean, I hope they just keep producing like fire vinyls. Like there's still ones that I want on vinyl that they haven't released yet, like older projects. So I feel like that's always in the works there with the growing popularity of vinyl. So I think that about wraps it up. Is there any final thoughts that you have today, or anything
no?
else
I think this is a fun
about?
bracket to do. Excited to close March strong with the rapper ad lib bracket next week. That one's going to be fire for sure. A lot of good ad libs in the game. It'll be interesting to see, which ones we like more than others. I feel like it all depends about who you listen to, style, all that kind of stuff. So definitely a good one to get into. Stay tuned to the Instagram. We've been posting these brackets all March so far, so this is no exception. We'll be posting the Nickelodeon TV shows bracket. Yeah, we'll see what you guys think. I think we have a pretty diverse audience age-wise, and so this could be an interesting matchup. Could go a little bit different than ours. Excited either way. Whatever happens, I mean, I just like seeing what you guys think.
Definitely, it's just good to get a gauge of the audience, see where your guys' heads are at as well. So stay tuned for that bracket. But that's it for this week, guys.
Yep, we'll be back next Monday. We'll see you guys. Have a great week.